Ronaldinho won the imagination of the sport, and that's why fans still cannot forget him. The stadium clock is ticking. The defenders are set. The match feels ordinary, until the ball reaches his feet. Suddenly, football is no longer predictable. It bends. It laughs. It dances. A no-look pass splits a defense that never saw it coming. A flick defies geometry. A smile appears, not just on the player's face, but across the entire stadium. Even the opposing fans rise, not in frustration, but in disbelief. That was the Ronaldinho effect. And years later, long after the boots have been hung up and the roar of weekly competition has faded, the magic still refuses to disappear. Fans don't just remember Ronaldinho. They feel him, in street games, in highlight reels shared endlessly online, in the confidence of young players attempting tricks others wouldn't dare try. Ronaldinho didn't just play football. He expanded its imagination. The day football remembered it was supposed to be fun. Before Ronaldinho rose to global prominence, football at the elite level had begun leaning heavily toward structure, discipline, and tactical rigidity. Winning mattered above all else. Efficiency replaced expression. Then came a player who looked like he had wandered onto the pitch from a beach game. Ronaldinho played with joy so visible it became contagious. He smiled during matches. He laughed after nutmegging defenders. He applauded opponents who challenged him. His style reminded the world that football was not invented in boardrooms or coaching manuals, it was born in streets, schoolyards, and open spaces where creativity ruled. Fans saw themselves in him. He wasn't just executing tactics. He was improvising, like a musician riffing in the middle of a song. Skill was only the beginning, imagination was the real weapon. Many players are skillful. Few are imaginative. Ronaldinho's genius was not simply in what he did, but in what he saw. He visualized possibilities others didn't recognize. Where defenders saw danger, he saw opportunity. Where coaches demanded simplicity, he introduced surprise. A backheel was not decoration, it was logic. A no-look pass was not showmanship, it was vision. A feint was not delay, it was storytelling. He treated the ball as a partner, not an object. And that changed how millions understood the game. The global language of joy. Football is often called the world's universal language. Ronaldinho added emotion to that language, joy, spontaneity, and fearlessness. Children in vastly different cultures began copying the same moves. The elastic dribble, the sudden spin, the audacious chip, the playful grin after success, or failure. He normalized trying things that might not work. That alone made him revolutionary. Because in Ronaldinho's world, failure wasn't embarrassing. It was part of the performance. Why fans felt closer to him than to other superstars. Some legends are admired from a distance, seen as untouchable professionals sculpted by perfection. Ronaldinho felt reachable. He didn't present himself as a machine built to win. He looked like someone who simply loved playing more than anything else. That relatability built an emotional connection rarely seen in elite sports. Fans didn't just celebrate his goals, they celebrated how he played. He reminded people of why they first fell in love with football, not trophies. Not statistics. But moments. The artist in a game of athletes. If football were a gallery, Ronaldinho would not be a portrait, he would be a splash of color across the entire wall. He blurred the boundary between sport and art. His movements were expressive rather than mechanical. Matches became performances. Stadiums became theaters. This artistic identity made his highlights timeless. Tactical systems evolve. Athletic demands change. But creativity never becomes outdated. You can watch a Ronaldinho clip today and it feels as fresh as the day it happened. Influence that outlived his playing years. Even after retirement, his fingerprints remain everywhere. Watch young players across the world. More flair in tight spaces. More confidence in one-on-one situations. More willingness to entertain, not just execute. Modern football may be faster and more analytical, yet Ronaldinho's spirit survives in moments when players dare to express themselves rather than follow a script. Every unexpected flick today carries a hint of his legacy. The power of playing without fear. What made Ronaldinho unique wasn't just talent, it was freedom. He played as though pressure didn't exist. As though the stakes were always secondary to expression. That mentality inspired generations to rethink performance. Instead of asking, "What if I lose the ball?" players began asking, "What if this works?" Fear limits creativity. Ronaldinho erased fear. More than a player, a cultural symbol. Ronaldinho transcended the pitch. He became a symbol of football as celebration, sport as self-expression. Competition balanced with humanity. His influence stretched into music, fashion, and street culture. He wasn't merely representing a club or a country, he represented an attitude toward life, playful, confident, and open. He showed that greatness didn't have to look stern. It could look like joy. Why time hasn't dimmed his legacy. Many legends are remembered for achievements. Ronaldinho is remembered for experiences. Fans recall where they were when they saw that goal. That pass. That moment of impossible creativity. Because what he offered couldn't be reduced to numbers. It was emotional memory. And emotional memory lasts longer than records. The smile that became his signature. Perhaps the most enduring image is not a trophy lift or a match-winning strike. It's the smile. That smile told the world something simple yet profound. Football is meant to be enjoyed. In an era increasingly driven by pressure and perfection, that message remains powerful and necessary. The eternal playground. Today, in cities and villages alike, you can still see echoes of Ronaldinho on dusty fields and artificial turf. A young player tries a trick and fails, then tries again. Friends laugh, not criticize. The game continues. That spirit is his true legacy. Not confined to stadiums. Not frozen in history. Alive wherever football is played with imagination. Why fans still cannot forget him? Because Ronaldinho didn't just give fans victories. He gave them wonder. He reminded them that sport could surprise. That creativity belongs even at the highest level. That joy and excellence are not opposites, they are partners. And once you've seen football played like that, you can never fully return to seeing it any other way. Ronaldinho won the imagination of the sport. And imagination, unlike trophies or titles, never fades.